Hey, Shalom, it's your brother Yawanathan. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your houses. Today, I got a couple clips for you all. We're going to go through them and respond through the Spirit. Abarat Tazah, the lesson is edifying. This first clip, you have this Edomite who's a part of the Great Noticing, which is majority of people that have a brain cell. And the Great Noticing is an online term for people coming to the conclusion of who the root of all the evil in the earth is. Of course, it's the small hats, as you all know if you're here. But this is the setting up of the Egyptian against the Egyptian, man, because people are calling this man out for his evil. Okay?
Let me see if I
Oh, sorry.
Epstein drop.
Start
Third,
over.
let me see if I can put it as gracefully as possible. After this latest Epstein drop, Third Reich 2.0 is coming. People are starting to wake up to the history that we weren't taught because Maxwell, McGraw-Hill programmed our brains. They owned our curriculum and our textbooks growing up.
What he's talking about there is so Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, Robert Maxwell, for many of you that may not know, I did a lesson on it, I think 2 days ago or yesterday. It's blurry. But Robert Maxwell, all right, who was a Mossad agent. All right, Mossad is the state of Israel's intelligence agency. So it's like their version of the CIA. He was a Mossad agent who had an empire printing press, right? He called it Pergamon Press, which Pergamon, goes back to the seat of Satan. So he had a printing press called the seat of Satan that printed all the American textbooks, the late 80s through the 90s, through the early thousands. McGraw-Hill. So all the education that we got, all the information that we receive was from a man connected to the biggest known PDF ring in the world. Obviously, it's not the only one. It's probably one of the more insignificant ones, to be honest. But this is the world we live in. All the information that you receive is tainted, smeared in some way. The only thing that you truly can trust, all right, is the scriptures and the true understanding of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which is going to be delivered to you all through the prophets. Okay, let's keep going.
And the Rothschilds also bought Reuters and bought the Associated Press, who picks and chooses what news to send to the rest of the world. And everybody's starting to fucking realize why Nazi Germany wanted to keep the Bolsheviks out of Europe. When you ask the old German soldiers on the Eastern Front what the war was really about, you start to realize we weren't exactly taught everything for a fucking reason. So as us bad little goyim are arguing about the Epstein files, a lot of shit is unfolding in the background. And I never thought I would say this word, Zionist. I'm a 3-time MAGA voter who hated when people used to say that word. It irritated me, mainly because I didn't know much about it. And then I dove into some serious history about Marxism, Moses Mordecai Levy and his rabbis, Moses Hess and Friedrich Engels, and how they basically called for...
Notice how he said Karl Marx, his real name. A lot of these small hats, they have aliases that they use to the world. All right? So you'll never know, who's pushing this philosophy or this rhetoric. And you find out it all goes back to these people again.
Believe it or not, in 1849 called for a revolutionary Holocaust for Slavs because we were racial trash. And all the while, I thought the word...
So what the Edomites that aren't Amalekites, because they're all Edomites together, but what the Edomites that aren't Amalekites are realizing is that these small hats don't give a shit about them. They don't plan on sharing any of the wealth they're accumulating, nor have they ever. So what this is setting up is Isaiah the 19th chapter, Egyptian against Egyptian. At some point, men like this, they're going to reach a breaking point and they're going to crash out. And again, Jake, that ain't your fight. We're going to be in the midst of all the evil and seeing it, but that's not our fight. But these people are going to be crashing out, man.
Holocaust was used for people like me persecuting the Jews. But in reality, that word was used for the Jews persecuting us. How fucking funny is that? You fast forward to 1897, where the first Zionist Congress was held in Basel, Switzerland, where the world's most powerful, quote, Jews got together and basically planned out a plan for the world and Palestine, which...
Yeah, they have all kinds of meetings, like the meeting they have in Davos. All right, the World Economic Forum is the people that are really sitting up there and saying, hey, this is how the world's going to go, are small hats. You look at Carl Schwab, he stepped down. Noah Yuval Harari, he's a small hat. The alphabet small hat at that, which majority of them are. Remember, Tel Aviv is the biggest alphabet parade there is. Pink City in the Holy Land. Well, that makes me think of another scripture in Isaiah where it talks about in the land of uprightness they shall deal unjustly. I'm paraphrasing. Going into the people that occupy the Holy Land, which would be Edomites, pursuing the Ezekiel 36 and 5. The people that occupy the Holy Land will be there in a perverted spirit. Okay? Let's keep going.
at the time was like 99 to 95% Arab. But these new wave white Jews, everything from the Balfour Declaration, the Havara Agreement, nobody talks.
And he highlighted white Jews because people are coming to the realization that the people over there are not the actual bloodline descendants of Jacob. People that still try to argue that fact, all right? And a lot of people that argue with us, they're not trying to defend the fact that the small hats are the people. They just want to say that we aren't. But let's continue on.
Talks about that. People think that, oh, there were 6 million Jews who were persecuted in the Holocaust. We could talk about that number another day, but a lot of people were actually relocated all over the world, and including the land of Palestine with their fortunes intact. Now we're seeing all this shit today. I'm watching my president just go around and take places like Venezuela. It's ours now. They think they're going to have an election, which is cute. We've already appointed a female leader. And then you look at you got Iran, Syria. They also
cruel Lord, man. America's, the main corporation the small hats use to just forward absolute evil and terror. All right. Trump said it himself. He said, we're the Operation Midnight Hammer. The scriptures call this man the hammer of the earth. And the Lord put the spirit on him to call himself that. Ain't that something? So a changing of the guard is afoot. And many of these things, they have to play out. We know this. Okay? A couple more seconds on this guy.
Don't have a Rothschild central bank. They're about to, just like Venezuela. And the only other two countries that don't have one of these usury Rothschild faggotry banks is, I think, Cuba and North Korea. So if you start to pay attention to what actually is going on, the president I voted for 3 times kissed that fucking wall, not because of any religious beliefs, but because he was told to.
All right, so there it is. There's a great noticing happening. People are realizing how full of shit this guy really is. All right? People are realizing it. Now, let's go to Isaiah 19:1. All right, it reads, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Now, this is talking about spiritual Egypt. When you go to Revelation 11:8, it lets you know that in our final captivity, it's also referred to as spiritual Sodom and Egypt. So let's read that really quick, as many of you may know this precept already. Revelation 11:8, and their dead bodies, because our people were spiritually dead, but we've been made alive through this word, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And you can read about that in Ezekiel the 37th chapter. All right? Revelation 11:8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the great city, shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. All right? This place is the epicenter in which that alphabetism is pushed. They put sanctions on people that don't condone that death style. And it's Egypt because it's the place where the children of Israel are in bondage. And it goes on to say, where also our Lord was crucified, meaning the Lord's way, righteousness is cast down here. You try to pursue righteousness in this society, you make it yourself a prey. You become an enemy to people. Like the scriptures say, he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. Okay? The way of the Lord has been cast down within this society. All right? Now we go back to Isaiah 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Now, for many of you that may not know, so-called UFOs or UAPs, they're spoken of in the scriptures. Those are the vessels of the angels in which the elect of the nation of Israel are going to be taken out of the way of the nuclear destruction. Because World War III, the War of Armageddon, is also spoken of in the scriptures, and the weaponry that will be used in the fashion in which this last and great war will be fought. Okay? So the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. All right, we know what Egypt is talking about now. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. Okay, the same way the idols in Egypt were moved, all right, as the Lord worked through Moses in ancient Egypt to cast down the reverence for all those deities that they worshiped back then. Everything that people worship or look to for salvation or center their life around here on this side, the Lord is going to demolish it again. Okay? And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So you got these regular Edomites. It's like it. You have these regular Edomites, and then you have the small hats who are also Edomites. They're going to be against each other. You got the regular Americans. They're just going to, the left and the right, they're going to be against each other. The men and the women, the black and the white. Those are relative terms, right? The immigrants and the people that call themselves citizens. Everybody's going to be class wars. All kind of people are going to be at odds with one another. Okay? So Egyptian is going to be against Egyptian. Chiefly, it's going to boil down to them hating those that fear the Lord. But Egyptian against Egyptian is playing out, man. So you see guys like this in the clip. They're a couple bad days away from crashing out. They're a couple resources away from crashing out, because when this small hat starts to strain the resources for these Edomites, they're not gonna go for that shit, man. They're gonna crash out. Okay, I got another clip of this ex-CIA agent. You know, he does these interviews, and he talks about how dark, how wicked, how illegal a lot of the things that the CIA is. So let's run his clip really quick.
My experience is universally negative. Universally negative.
So before I run this clip, man, he's talking about his encounters with the Mossad agents, and how basically how like they're pieces of shit. So he's talking about his encounters with the small hats that worked in his field. He was in the CIA. Mossad is Israel's version of that. So he's talking about these encounters that he had. So now let's listen.
My experience is universally negative. Universally negative. I've never had a positive encounter with Mossad. I have never met a CIA officer who has had a positive encounter with Mossad.
Because the Mossad doesn't give two shits what you think.
Or what you are trying to focus on in your job. They care only about Israel. And if that means
shoving their fists up your ass, or trying to recruit you, or telling you to go fuck yourself while they try to recruit, the guy sitting next to you,
or the guy in the defense contractor's office, they don't care what you think of them.
So Mossad will come over here in America, and they're supposed to be working together, but they'll flip CIA agents over to Israel's purpose. And look at everything that America forwards. They don't flip that whole agency, man. There's no such thing as an intelligence agency for America. The CIA is simply a subsidiary of Mossad. Their agenda is Israel's agenda. All right, back to Isaiah 19th chapter, where we're picking back up at verse 3 here. It says, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof." Right? "And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards," people, and especially even the elites. Because shit gonna start going off track, off script for them. Because they think they got a plan laid out. It's not gonna pan out the way they thought it would. They're gonna be, calling on those demons, those familiar spirits that they was dealing with before. Shit ain't gonna be working. Because at the end of the day, even the left-hand energy that they was dealing with, the Lord sanctioned that. And the Lord's gonna cut their water off. They're gonna be on their own. And when that shit ain't working no more, they're gonna crash out and result to that sword that they were blessed with back in Genesis. Okay? And in verse 4, it says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord." And we think Trump is that guy. We think Trump is that leader that this place is going to circle the drain with. All right? That leader that the small hats set up. Into the hand of and even above him, the small hats definitely are cruel lords. Okay? All right? "And a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts." Okay? So yeah, man. Everything is going exactly according to the Lord's plan. It has to play out though in full. As uncomfortable as it may be, this devil's evil has to play out. But these people, man, they're going to crash out. They're going to self-implode. The so-called white man is going to self-implode. All right? It's going to be a beautiful thing to see. Abaratazah, the lesson was edifying. I'm going to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Oh, I have one more precept. 2nd Ezra 15 and 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." So it's going to be complete sedition, all out lawlessness, okay? And the Egyptian against the Egyptian plays out in this scenario as well. Verse 16, it says, "For there should be sedition among men," which is complete disregard for the government, anarchy or lawlessness. Okay? "Among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes," the government or the powers that be. "And the course of their actions shall stand in their power." These people are going to be crashing out, like we said. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," because there's going to be checkpoints. The UN troops are going to be over here, which they may be called by a different name. You see, they got the whole ICE thing set up. But what you find out about ICE is they're trained by the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, Israeli Defense Forces. Those are foreign troops. All right? And I'm sure a lot of those foreign troops will be enrolled in that program. So whatever they call themselves, checkpoints are going to be set up. You're not going to have the liberty to come and go as you please, man. We're getting ready to step into a completely different time. All right? But this is getting ready to play out, man, in full and in great detail. And the thing about the scriptures, the Lord tells us what's going to happen. But when you see it play out, it's way more vivid than what you thought. It's way more vivid than what you thought. All right? So again, pray the lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone. Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth and sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. Shalom.